Welcome to Connected Human Conversations with your host, Nancy Barrows.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Connected Human Conversations. For those of you who don't know me, I am Nancy Barrows. I am the chick with the tool belt. I am the founder of the Radiating Real campaign, and I am the host of this show. I welcome you in tonight. Thank you for joining us for this very special episode. I want to start by sharing with you that there will be some really sensitive content tonight, not appropriate for children, and may be difficult for even for some adults to hear, process, and handle. I encourage you to sit with your discomfort so that you hear this amazing story and that you get to be here to support Gabriella Hall, who goes by Gabby Hall. That's the last time I'll say it, Gabby. But on LinkedIn, if you're finding her, she's Gabriella Hall. So, but again, please sit with your discomfort the best you can. You do not want to miss this amazing hero story. This woman is a warrior. April happens to be Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, and so we did save this for today. I want to share with you that Gabby is an artist, an activist, a survivor, and the amazing daughter of our friend Daniel Hall. And she has granted me, along with all of you who are with us tonight, the amazing gift and privilege of hearing her story as she shares it for the first time. Gabby's story will include stuff about physical abuse, mental abuse, and sexual abuse. You may find me interrupting Gabby, and she knows that I may do this because when she and I talked, she highlighted some things that she really wanted to make sure she was able to share tonight when she shares her story for the first time. There you go, Gabby. See, I'm tripping over my words. You have nothing to worry about. So I will interrupt her gently at times because I know there are things that are really important to her. That we get to tonight. But what I want to start with is actually introducing you to Gabby and bringing her here on the show with me so that we together can say hi to all of you. Hey, Gabby, you're muted, so just unmute yourself. On your picture, there's a little microphone in the top corner. Oh, I did it for you. Not to worry.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah, you're good to go. I want to thank you so much for how brave you are being tonight. As any of you can imagine out there, this is not an easy thing to do, even when you want to, even when you've decided this is what you want to do. So I want to take a few moments and say hi to everyone that's out there before we just dive right in. Gabby, so you know who's with us today. Well, Brian Schulman is here. Thank you. Yes, Tim, here we go. We appreciate your support. Jenny Gold, we love you. I hope you brought your bacon. Ligia is from Costa Rica. So good to see you here tonight. And these are all of our friends. You got
Bruce
this.
is here.
Hmm?
Bruce is here.
Yeah, Bruce is here. Yeah, so you already know she's a pro here. She already knows what she's doing. So we, Travis, glad to be here, running a bit late. You're not late. You're fine. You're always on time, as I always say. Yes, thank you all to be here to support both of us. I put a post up earlier. Okay, hang on. This one, I want you to take a second. I am so proud of my daughter, Gabriella Hall, who is my hero. Yeah, and we love you, Dan. Good evening, Bill Bradford. How are you? These are people, and Bruce, these are people that are part of our Positive Vibe Tribe, people who show up week after week, Gabby, to support one another. Hey, Patty, I'm so glad you made it. Who, if they're not already connected to one another, will get connected. But this is our family. And I know to you, it's a bunch of strangers. But when I started sharing my story, these are the people who showed up. These are the people who offered me unconditional love and acceptance, continue to this day to cheer me on and bring that to my life. So I want you to know that you are among not just friends, but family. And everyone is here because they applaud you for sharing your story and will be here with you like I will be every step of the way.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. So as we start, you guys, I just want to let you know there will be scrolls across the bottom with different things on them. 2 of them will be resources for you. If you or someone you know could use a place to go, there's a website for RAIN and a phone number for RAIN, and they are an organization that helps raise awareness and support people who have experienced sexual assault. So, Gabby, I know that you wanted to start with the physical, mental, and sexual abuse that you experienced as a child and give just sort of a brief overview. So, I'm going to allow you to do that. And then, like I said, if I gently interrupt you, it's because I know there are things that you want to get to.
Okay. So, well, I don't really know where to start, but yes, I am I am a survivor of physical sexual abuse. Pretty extreme. I'll save most of the gory details. I don't know. It just.
Do you remember like when it started, or
I started remembering when I was 4.
Okay.
I started. Go ahead.
What age were you removed from the home? Because I know that was eventually what happened.
8.
Okay, so from 4 to 8, you were aware and in this situation.
Yes.
If you can, comfortably, tell us what that was sort of like. Your daily, what you went through daily, without, of course, getting into gory details. Just sort of how it was to live in that environment.
It was hell. I was young, so there were times where I thought that this is what my life should have been, because I was living that way. And kids grow up, you get taught how to live, and so that was my life. So school was an escape. I would go to school, but I wouldn't be able to participate in my school stuff because I was so beat down. I was tired. Most of my time at school was spent in the nurse's office sleeping, but it was an escape. So
you were, while you were living in it 24/7, because it was your core family and home, you had the place to take a break from it, I suppose, for lack of a better word.
yes.
And you had shared with me that you, I know there was things where food would be kept from you. You were also trying to protect your younger sister. If you can give us just a little bit about that, so that everybody just has an idea of where you were coming from and what you've overcome.
So sometimes they would refuse to feed us. Like if we were being bad or if we weren't listening, they would not feed us at all. So I would steal food for me and my sister, and we'd end up getting our asses whooped.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I took it because I not only was going through it myself, but I had to protect my sister at the best that I could.
And incredible at age 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to think about, an 8-year-old having to protect their sister from something they know themselves is so difficult and hard. And, and that's okay, Dan. I know I know that was one of Gabby's sort of concerns, is there's a lot of it that even the people closest to her have not heard yet. But I want to remind you, Gabby, that everyone in your life that's here, we are adults and we are strong and we know how to take care of ourselves. This is your space and your time to do with what you want to do with it. And yes, Patty, you are incredibly courageous. Did I mention she's 22 years old? Like 22 years old. I was 48 when I first shared my story publicly. So this is a huge deal, what you're doing, not only for yourself, but for other people. And I know you said that you said they, I know who you're talking about, but will you share with everyone who would?
Yeah, so a lot of people get this thing where they think mothers are completely innocent. They usually think that the fathers or the stepfathers will be the abusers. No, my mother was heavily a part of it. Very. So they both were the devil in my life. Okay. And that is the way it is.
Yeah, and that's a lot, because I can imagine that you had no safe harbor. Mm-mm. And what that must have been like growing up that way. And then you're removed from the home, and you then are put into the legal process, right? You're a big part of what happened. And if you, again, what you're comfortable with, and I will fill in what I know I have permission to fill in, but I know there were 2 pieces that you wanted to talk about in terms of the court experience and being the only victim in your household.
Yes. So between me and my sister, we were the only ones living in the house with my mother and my stepfather. I was the only victim in my house, but I was not the only victim. I actually was sometimes forced to be a part of the other victims, whatever you want to call it. You said what else were we touching up on?
That's okay. So I'm just to recap, you were forced to victimize other people, which is a whole nother layer of this. But you wanted to talk about your mom testifying on the stand and that who else testified or who else didn't testify.
So when I first went into foster care, they were giving hints about why I was placed with them. They weren't told full on because, like I said, somebody outside of my home ran to whoever they had to run to get me out of my home. It wasn't me. So I was put into foster care, and they knew, but they didn't know. And so when I came out and told them, they were more than happy to help me put them away.
Yeah. And so what did that take? What's that process?
Honestly, ooh, Lord. Imagine being 9-10 years old going onto the stand saying that this man did this to me specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no way around that. But I had a hell of a support team. My parents got into contact with this biker group called Baka. It's one of my core memories as a kid, was that right there.
Mm-hmm. And finding a community that did support and protect you, which I have to imagine moving forward was quite literally life-saving. And I know that you talked about that your mom had said something on the stand that was news to you, for lack of a better, in terms of something that you hadn't remembered.
Yes, so like I said, I started remembering the sexual abuse and physical abuse at 4, but my mother testified on the stand saying that there was things she did to me before that I didn't remember.
And how was that for you to hear that there were things that you couldn't remember?
Well, like I said about the mother part, I had thought that maybe my stepfather created the monster, but that wasn't the case. My mom only knew my stepfather so long. And I remembered her actually meeting him and getting with him, and it kind of just made me feel sicker about her because you know, I was like, my stepfather created her, no, she created herself.
Yeah.
So.
Gosh, and at such a young age to see your parent so clearly in such a light. And you there, I want to go back, sorry, to this one because this is amazing. And I think it is a perfect name for you, Justice. I love it. It makes my heart smile because it just fits you perfectly. I also know there are a couple of things, and before we move into the next step, which is really like when you were removed from the home and what came next, because that was 8 years of your life and you're 22. We have a whole journey and story ahead. Before we do that, I'm going to ask Brian Shulman to help us and go back to some of those comments so that you can see the love and support that's being offered to you. Florence is here. Thank you, Florence Love. And she is giving you, the reminder that you are not alone here. And yes, sharing these kinds of stories takes a lot of courage. You are amazing. And Gabby, I know these things are hard to take in from the conversations that you and I have had, but these are people who have no reason to say anything. So anything they say.
Oh, I see a comment that I really see that sticks out.
Okay. Do you know who it's from?
Mark Bentcover, he says sexual abuse often leads to memory lapses. Yes, it does. I created mental barriers. Mm-hmm. And so if you ask me some of the things that I went through, I will sit there and be like, I don't remember. Because that's our way of blocking it out.
Yes. And that was another thing too, as we talk about the adoption and being placed in Dan and Tina's home, we had talked about like you were in a safe place, but that didn't change very much for you. And again, what Mark is alluding to is like all of the I don't say symptoms because it's sugarcoating all the shit you take with you, right? It's the danger is removed. It's not your fault, but it's yours to carry forward. So now you're placed with Tina and Dan, and as you said, they helped you put.
He's sitting right outside the door commenting all this.
That's okay. Well, and that's how much that was the plan, right? You had your support system right there with you in person, and I'm so glad he's there. But Dan and Tina did help you put your mom and stepdad in jail.
Of course, they were there all the time.
Yeah, but the behaviors, as you say, did not get better. If you can describe to us, and I know this is painful for you to talk about for yourself. I know these are not proud moments and fond memories. So as much as you're able to, and please share with us what you, if we were sitting in the living room, what we would have seen. What was Gabby like back then?
So immediately when I went into foster care with these people, I had nothing but hate in my heart. I did not trust them. I would not allow them to touch me, wouldn't allow them to hug me. I put them through hell. I really put them through hell. And to say the least, after I was finished with the court system, putting them away, all hell broke loose, really. My behavior issues really took off. I became unsafe in my home. I had started self-harming whenever I went to the home with Tina and Dan. I was very aggressive. I had no control. So eventually DSS pulled me out of the home, and I went to my first placement when I was 11.
So what's not uncommon is what you're sharing with us is everything wraps, right? So you're out of the environment. Mom and stepdad are no longer a physical presence and threat to you. And then the behavior gets worse, right? There's that.
May she rot in jail. She's no longer with us, Maria.
Well, and I know that you have had to, in fact, next week, isn't it? Do you go back again? And
no, it's May 17th. It's for my stepfather.
Okay. And so what we're alluding to, Gabby, if you want to share, or I can.
So I recently was told last November that my stepfather is trying to get a retrial or get a sentence reduced. He was sentenced to 200 years. So, it makes me sick that the court would even consider it or allow it to happen, but it is what it is. And if I got to fight to put him back in or to allow him to not go through what he's doing, I will do it again.
Yeah. Well, I will say I believe you to be one of the strongest people I know. And if you could do it when you were 8, 9, 10, you certainly are going to be able to do everything you need to do now, just like you are today. And I had talked about this earlier and let you get away without telling everyone that you were the only one who testified.
Yes.
So
I was.
While there were other victims.
You know what? It is what it is. Honestly, I didn't give much thought to it. I was young myself. But they weren't removed from their homes. I was.
Mm.
And so even though I didn't trust Tina and Dan, I could clearly see that the environment that I was staying in was much safer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know what made me sit on Tina's lap in the sunroom and spill my heart out as to why I'm in this house with her, but it happened, and I'm so glad it did because they saved me.
I have a feeling that knowing your dad, he would say it's true both ways.
Yeah.
That you all have been saving each other for years. I know another piece that you wanted to get to, but before you do, I want to share just some statistics. And I actually want to share, you guys, I told you in the beginning that Gabby's an artist, and I only have a few pieces, and I'm almost tempted to open your LinkedIn page and go and show all of your art. But I saw your art.
You want to.
I saw your art and was immediately moved by it. You have such a beautiful way of expressing yourself. And if we can, I think I may have your page open, so maybe I will. But I do have some of your art. So I know you do a lot of these poured paintings, and they are my favorite. And I just love the movement and the colors and all the things I see in them.
That was one of my favorites too.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another one of my favorites of yours. It's so, like, I see it and I get chills. It just absolutely, I feel it. I don't know what you were thinking, but I feel it.
It came from a dark time, that's for sure.
Yes. And then this one I love, and you and I have talked about this. Like, this reminds me of, like, I told you it's like walking in a park in, like, I don't know, France in the summer. There's just something to it, that the flowers and all of that, that I absolutely love. And I want to let you guys know that Gabby has made art for me, and I have commissioned her for art.
I have it here, actually.
Oh, go for it. Hang on.
You want me to show it?
Sure. I love it.
Well, I have to buy something to gloss it, to make it shiny, because it looks
So
a little dull.
It looks a little dull, but I don't bring it center in front of your face if you can for just now.
Like that?
That's perfect. Okay. So you guys, it just, you can put it down. I just want you guys to know how talented she is, and how what she's expressing from the depths of her soul on that canvas, to me, it's incredibly, incredibly, incredibly talented artist, and just an amazing human. And before we go on, I see there's some more people who have joined us, so let's say hello. Yes, right, they have done an amazing job, and I have to tell you that Gabby has done so much work, and you'll hear more about her story, because the next thing we're going to talk about is really where we're going to spend quite a bit of time, where you were pulled from the home at age 11. But in the meanwhile, I want you to hear, hey, there you go, Mark, right? Get in line. Every time she paints something, I'm like, I need it. How much do I need to pay you for it? But yes, Mark is loving your art, wants to know where you can see it and buy it. And you guys, scrolling on the bottom is Gabriella, if you're looking for her, but Gabby, if you're really talking to her, her LinkedIn link. And you can find a lot of what she's creating there. There are several pieces that I have have her, put away. Have her put away for me, because it's becoming my my favorite shopping habit, I will say. Dan is saying, Gabby was put through a lot to testify. You spilled your heart out because mom has this amazing way of seeing the best in all of us. And I believe that about your mom. Mark, most people don't understand is that the most functional humans in a dysfunctional system are the ones that experience the pain and display the acting out, right? Yeah. If you had a better way to tell them, you would have.
Yeah, that speaks my life. That's my life's description right there.
There you go. Well, you and Mark need to get connected for sure. You're speaking each other's language. And I think really after this is over and you have a chance to maybe watch it again, these are people to add to your network, Gabby. These are people who are going to continue to support you as you journey on. Amazing story, Gabby. That's from Carl Sean Watkins, who we affectionately call the Rev. And Raquel Boris. Wow, so talented. She's an artist herself, and one of my dearest friends, Courtney, as well, from college. Such amazing artwork, Gabby. So beautiful. Do you have a gallery location? Yes, they're masterpieces, aren't they? I agree. I'm slowly collecting my own gallery here. It's beautiful, but the soul of the art speaks volumes. Mic drop, Rev. Yes. All right. So I want to. So true. Her art is beautiful. Yes. So I hope that you're able to take in some of this love. I know this is like such a nerve-wracking place to be.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And the beauty part is you can go back and watch it as often as you want. Take in what you can take in. When you need a boost, go back and watch it again. I want to share with everyone some statistics. We're talking here, and you happen to be talking to two people who both have experienced sexual abuse. But the numbers are vast. Oh, thank you. Go ahead. You're reading my mind. And to let you know that every 68 seconds, almost every minute, an American is sexually assaulted. It affects hundreds of thousands of Americans each year. We're making progress today, but only 25 out of every 1,000 rapists will end up in prison. And I have to tell you that the statistics about familial abuse are even more dismal.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. We can look at the next one just to let you guys know a little bit more. And that was it. Not only does 25 out of 1,000 go to jail, but only 310 of every 1,000 sexual assaults are reported to the police. There's still so much stigma about this. And Gabby, you speaking out is changing the narrative. It is an incredibly brave, life-altering event for people who will watch this whenever they find it, and they will find it when they need it. The stigma has to change, obviously. And we are here, both of us, doing that together. I want to also remind you that you guys can make donations. Every dollar counts. So with RAIN, a $25 monthly gift can educate 15,000 people about preventing. That's the big thing, about preventing sexual violence. Can you think of a better way to spend $1 a day? Just going to plant that seed here for you guys. And I will bring you some more statistics just to give you an idea of what the high risk hedge, thanks for being here, of what the landscape really looks like by who is abused and who the abusers are, and what the system, unfortunately looks like these days. Gabby inspired my wife and I to train and help over 400 inbound foster and adoptive families over 10 years.
That's not a lie.
I know. I know. Your trauma helped us realize that families needed more help and awareness on how to help our next generation. You were put exactly where you were meant to be, Gabby. We are going to move into this next part, like I said, which is I'm going to take up the bulk of what we talk about today. And this is sort of getting to where you are now. And this is what you labeled to me like becoming institutionalized. And the three
Yes.
things, and I'll remind you as we go, is that you were pulled from the home at age 11. Two significant events for you are being locked up and your suicide attempt.
Yes.
And please, again.
So my first placement started at 11. I've been all over the place. I don't know if we specifically have time to go into every place that I've been at. Just know it's been a lot. Like I said, I self-harmed. I ended up doing that for 8 years. So I didn't stop doing that until I was about 17, which is what led up to my suicide attempt. But so from 11 to 17, I was in and out of different group homes for straight 7 years. No, 6 years.
During that time, why were you changing placements?
None of them were successful. They put me in a place. I had destructive behavior. I destroyed property. My self-harming gradually got worse over the years, so it would scare people. I'd be hospitalized. Disrespect, aggressive.
And so you would leave your residential placement to be hospitalized for periods of time and then return
Yes.
to a different residential placement. So
Yes.
I can only imagine, here you come from a household where it's not safe. You're constantly changing environments. How do you allow yourself to feel safe when everybody's new every time?
I never did.
Mm.
I mean, of course I felt safe because I was in facilities. Had 24-hour care. I was safe that way, but in this safe instance for like family, I felt betrayed. I was put into this home with these people who were loving and caring, who helped me put away monsters, and they easily gave me up. And I'm not saying that that's what they did. That's how I felt.
Right. That was your
I
perception of it. Yeah.
hated them. Oh, it was seething hate. It was bad.
And now you're sitting there with your dad sitting outside the door, like arms reach away. So how did you get there? How did you get to that point?
I'm still getting there, but the end of last year, me and my mom had breakfast at IHOP to discuss my stepfather about him trying to do whatever the hell he's trying to do. And I was like, look, I'm sick of this. I was like, you either let me back in or you let me go. I was like, this is exhausting, not only for y'all, but for me. I was like, we've got to work this out. And ever since last November, we've been working on things.
It's incredibly brave for you to continually give the chance and find ways to allow people into your life in a way that's meaningful. And I see that Dan says that you were placed voluntary placement, which means you were fully engaged. Yeah, they were fully engaged in your life. All the services and help were covered by the state. So you were somewhere where you could be safe. And you were all probably, I imagine, going through a lot of healing and growing at this time.
Yeah, it wasn't like they weren't present during my placements. They were there. They'd come to therapy. Christmases were done. Birthdays were done. It's just the feelings that I felt towards them did not help them still being present in my life while voluntarily allowing me to be put in placement. So thank you for clarifying that.
You're good. You're good. And yes, Dan, it's always nice to have another reporter and another perspective on the same thing. I love that you're able to hear from Dan how your experience, while painful to him and Tina, was incredibly valuable and transformative in a positive way. Maria wants to know, looking back, do you still hate the people that either, put you to hospital or changed your placement or, all that were keeping you from living the life of destruction, self-destruction, and of others that you really, really, really wanted to live? I mean, I get it.
So I actually had something similar to this done with the courthouse, the district court. They interviewed me one year. I think it was when I was 18. someone from DSS, someone from DGS came and talked to me. I told DSS how I felt about them, and let me tell you, I did not hold back. I told them that they failed me. And so because of that interview, it was taken to someone higher up or whatever. And so they came out with this new training thing that they did. I don't exactly remember it very well, but I was a part of it. And I got to sit here and do this on Zoom and be part of the training and be part of the new program or whatever. So
that's incredible. That's like to know that you have already used your experience to change how other people, right, will go through this. That's incredible. So Maria, Maria, I'm going to let Gabby answer, and we've been using some terms interchangeably. So, mom, stepdad are in jail. You have nothing to do with them. The only time you will have any potential interaction is when something comes up, like a parole hearing or like what's coming up with your stepdad.
My stepfather's the only one who's alive.
Okay.
My mother killed herself in prison.
Wow.
2018.
Wow. That's a whole nother piece to the puzzle, huh?
Well, that's just one less piece of the puzzle that I have to deal with.
Yeah, all right, there you go. That's a beautiful way of taking something and saying, no, that's off my plate. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And it reminds us all that she was in jail and it was still always there, right? That's part of this is, again, safe environment, but it's still always there. And so, Maria, just to clarify before Gabby answers, that mom and dad are Dan and Tina Hall. And so, whatever is easiest for you, Gabby, to delineate the question was, do you have trust built in now with the people that are not your mom and dad? They're not around, but what about the trust within your family? I know it's still...
You talk about my biological family?
Yeah.
There's zero trust. I came into contact around the time that I found out that my mother killed herself with some of my real family, and I see where she gets her crazy from. I see where it comes from, and I had to cut them off. So, and I don't regret it at all. I don't regret them coming back into my life for me to cut them off, because it gave me clarity. I was like, God, these people are nuts.
Yeah, sometimes when you're in the midst of it, you start to doubt yourself, and it's nice to have those reminders. And Mark is sharing, unfortunately, the system sometimes does not serve those who are supposed to. In Seattle, when I was a therapist specializing in supporting sexually abused children, I found CPS, Child Protective Services, and the judiciary did not do much to protect those abused kids. I hear these stories all the time, and I hear you talking about how you had to testify at 9, 10 years old. And I was never so aware and grateful for the fact of how I was protected by my parents in the system by not having to testify. I was 16 years old. I don't know how you did it at 9, 10. I couldn't say elbow, much less anything else.
I like that comment.
Divorcing?
No, Mark's crazy does not usually grow in the dark.
Yeah, right.
The abuse is generational, actually. I don't remember if I told you, but it is.
You're welcome to share now if you want. If not, that's okay too.
So my biological grandmother was abused. My mother was abused. My mother abused me.
Yeah.
So it's been in the family. And let me tell you, it ends with me.
And that is a powerful statement. To end generational trauma it takes an incredible amount of strength and resolve. And Patty, yes, divorcing our families is not discussed. We talk about some of the effects of being abused and the psychological, emotional, but there is loss. And sometimes you lose people you wish you didn't, and sometimes it's the best thing that's happened to you. I had family members also, Gabby, who sort of did not accept what I was saying as truth. Mark, my abuser's got away scot-free, one of the biggest regrets of your life. Wow. Yeah,
Mark's on a roll tonight.
Mark's a wonderful human. He's a wonderful, wonderful human. I'm so glad that he's here. But it is hard because, again, what is justice? Oh, too close. Sorry. What is justice? You're fine. I'm fixing. What is justice, right? But having people be held accountable in some way is often not what happens with the system. And I think sometimes, and this was part of what a mindset that I had to get into, was I was not giving my grandfather another day. And his punishment was going to be the way I was going to thrive after how he tried to destroy me, like what he did to me. And there was no way that I was going to let that happen. Hi, Mike Skiba. Yes, she's amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. And we get to choose our lives, and we choose our battle, and we choose that we're going to fight to make it to where we want to. Totally understand what you went through. And I admire you more than I can express. Thank you, Mark, for sharing your story. That's brave. Thank you for sharing it with us and trusting us. And again, you've got three people, right? And there's more of us out there. And absolutely, all of this happens in the dark, which is why we are using our voices, why Gabby and I and Mark, all of us who are able to, for those who cannot yet do it, are out here talking about this. I want to get us back to two significant events. That if you could tell us a little bit more in detail. I know that you had planned to. If you cannot, it's fine.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But being locked up and especially the nurse or staff member that you had your interaction with, how's her reaction to everything?
Yes, so that situation was definitely an eye-opener. And I can tell you right now, leading up to that moment, I was reckless and out of control. And even though I regret doing what I did, it definitely set me straight in many ways, many ways. So I was 16 and I was in a group home up in Cumberland, and one of the staff members that was there was two staff members on site that night. Me and some of the girls had planned on AWOLing. I didn't know when I was going back home. I was in a dark place, so I kind of gave up. Shit hit the fan that night. Like, we were all planning, and when it came down to doing it, everything just went sideways, and we decided to take one of the group home cars. And in order to get to the keys, we had to go through the staff office, which is where staff mostly were. I was the one who grabbed the keys, but on my way out of the office, I was pulled from the back of my shirt, like, quite hard. And I had really bad anger issues, really bad. And I blacked out. Like, I felt the yank, and it yanked me to oblivion because I came to it on top of the staff that did it, and I had beaten her so bad. That night, we got into a car accident. The person who drove didn't even make it out of the driveway. It was snowing. We flipped down the woods. We ran further through the woods and were eventually caught by the police. I caught 5 felonies and 4 misdemeanors that night. So I was put into ACDC for about 2 weeks and then transferred to juvie, where I was for about a year. And I was going in and out of circuit court for the things that I did. And leading up to the moment that you're talking about, I finally had my last circuit court hearing where I got a deal. If I pled guilty, I would keep 3 misdemeanors and I would be waived to juvie. Well, that's what I did. And the woman that I beat up testified, saying that she did not want any of us charged as adults. And it blew my mind. Like, I was like, how can you say that after I've, did that to you?
Gives me chills to hear you say it, because
it made me disgusted with myself that someone so nice and so forgiving would go through what I put them through and still say that. And it made me look like my mother. Like, I saw my mother in my face and I was disgusted.
Yeah, it took one person to change your path, one person to not turn to the anger of it and see you as a human who was struggling with so much and say, I get it. I don't want to punish you further. You've been through enough. And I saw Maria's question, do you still have some anger, even though you're now living in a safe, loving arms of Dan and Tina? And so the question is, again, do you still have some anger, even though you're in the safe, loving arms of Dan and Tina? And I think there's 2 things here. To answer, yes, the question of, is there still anger? And then We'll get a little bit more into your suicide attempt, but helping people understand where you live now and why.
So like I said, I was institutionalized. I did come back home for a little bit when I was 18. It was like 5 months. Me being institutionalized for about 6-7 straight years really took away my family setting, like how to live in a family setting. Of course, my family had grew over the years. I got more and more siblings, which no love or hate for them. I put them through hell as well, but we won't get into that. But yes, there's still anger. There's still hate, but it's not so much directed towards them anymore.
Yes, Mark, even though your abusers are humans with great evil, most humans have the capacity for great love and forgiveness. And that's what keeps him getting up in the morning. It's what keeps most of us going, right? And that staff member, saw in you what you couldn't see in yourself, which was a future where you were going to be getting healthy and living a life very different from the one that you were living then. Because that woman is in the light that led you to forgiveness and freed you up. Yes, exactly. She recognized that you had already been through enough, is working hard on getting her life in the place where she can move back in with us. And I know that's what everybody wants. And I know, Gabby, I'm going to share a little bit of what you shared with me, is that it makes sense. Your life had been, as you say, you've been institutionalized. It's been so regimented, right? Things happen on a schedule. Things are predictable and planned. And when you live in a home with other people, that's not the case. You have younger siblings. So it makes it even more so not the case. And you have siblings with special needs. So everybody, it's sort of like, complete opposite of that predictability.
It was a different type of chaos that I was brought up in, for sure.
For sure. And before we go on to your suicide attempt, I saw that there are some more people here. I see you, Sama. Thank you for joining us. And I want to thank you all for the love and the abundance of love and kindness that you are sharing with Gabby tonight. Brandon, great to see you. Yes, she is brave and resilient. And she's only 22. Just imagine, you changed how things happen for people who are removed from their home due to situations similar to yours. You are making sure that your stepdad stays where he belongs, and you are 22 and you are only beginning this journey. Yes, keep up the greatness. This is incredible that you've shared your story here with us for the first time. And I want to say you are incredibly composed. You are incredibly strong.
Oh, there's a storm raging inside of me right now. I'm just trying not to let y'all see it.
That's okay. And I'm going to let you know, it's fine. We don't mind seeing it. We are not.
I'll probably break down once I get off camera.
That's fine. We're not. You're not going to scare us off. We're all human. We've done it before. I have done it on camera. I know Usama's done it on camera. I know Brian Shulman's done it on camera. I know Tim's had his moments. Jenny's had hers. We all share the commonality that we are human. And if you are holding back and you don't want to, don't. I saw Mark said anger and hate may never go away completely. It just becomes more manageable. And one day you wake up and you have more love than hate and less anger. And I've said this about my grandfather. Like, I don't remember ever hating him, but he was like a piece of furniture. Like, he was there. Like, I moved.
I can't say the same thing for my stepfather.
I am farther along the path, and nothing says that you will ever get there or need to be healthy. We all hold what we need to hold. Yes, crying, shaking, as I like to call them, the ugly, snotty, unsexy parts. They're required. They're part of the required healing process.
And I got my fidget right here, and I'm down here like
we're using our tools. We all have they're here for you. I want to share a few more statistics before we get into your suicide attempt and what was going on in your mind. So here, younger people are at highest risk for sexual violence. And I know the statistics are a little hard to see, but it's like that college age, young adult age that are most at risk. And to let you know also that women and girls definitely are experiencing sexual violence at higher rates, 1 in every 6. So next time you're out and you take a head count, 1 in every 6 females that you are with has experienced some form of sexual violence. But don't forget the men who are often left out of this conversation. Men and boys are also affected by sexual violence, and male college students 5 times the risk. 5 times the risk. Perpetrators often know their victim, right? It's not surprising. You guys have heard this between acquaintance rape and family members and things like that. And one of the biggest categories is a current spouse, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, or a former spouse, partner, boyfriend, or girlfriend. Yes, Raquel knows about snotty and sexy. Sama does. This is here. And half of all perpetrators are 30 or older. So we run a wide gamut of people who are experiencing, those who are perpetrating, and in terms of race, 57% of perpetrators are white men, typically. And I want to give you a statistic on RAIN, and they have great resources, you guys. And again, those are scrolling around across the bottom for you. But RAIN's victim service programs help an average of 27,000 people a month. Remember that $25 a month? It doesn't have to be that. Anything you can give is being used to help people who have experienced this and to prevent it from happening to others. And since their program started, since 1994, they've helped more than 3.5 million people. Sadly, the numbers are that high because there are that many people still experiencing sexual assault and violence. We're going to share some comments. Unfortunately, the only crying I have done on camera was when I was an actor and got paid for it. Someday I'll show growth and cry. I invite you, Mark, anytime you want to, whether it's with or without tears, to come share your experience here on Connected Human Conversations. Your story is powerful and impactful and important. And if you ever want to share it live, you have an open invitation. Emotional triggers can come out of the blue, yes. And sometimes we never see it coming. But wow, does it feel good when you can let a tear roll and be done with the water from your tears, giving new life and beginning. So I know, yeah, the statistics are terrifying. The statistics are absolutely terrifying. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. I think you might be a little biased, but
And that's just the statistics only come from the people who come out and say it too.
That's
just
what
imagine all the people who won't come out and say it.
That's what I've said, is there's 1 in 6 women who, when you ask, are willing to say yes, they've experienced it. That doesn't mean that that's a true experience. Yes, Mark, thank you for radiating real. Gabby, all of you in the comments who have said, I've broke down, I've been there, I understand. Thank you all for radiating real. One last piece before we get to wrapping up. It was important to you that you shared a little bit about your suicide attempt, and I want to make sure we have space and time for that.
Yes. So while I was 17, I was living in a place called the Jefferson School. It was my second time to Jefferson School, but the second time around it was court ordered because I had just left juvie and went straight there. I was put deep into trauma therapy. I don't know if people are aware of what that is or how they do it, but you drudge up everything, you write it down, you say it to people that are close to you or around you. And even though I was getting better after being locked up, like the storm dulled down a little bit, but I'm still dealing with things, of course. It got a lot. And a lot of people who are truly suicidal, you will never know what's coming. Like people came to me after I came back and was like, Gabby, that day you were smiling, you were laughing, you were watching movies, you were having fun. I never in a million years expected that to happen, and you never will. I when I get by myself in my room, when I'm no longer in front of other people where I have to put on a mask, shit gets dark.
Mm-hmm.
And shit got dark that day. And I went a little too far. So
yeah.
Now I have a battle scar from it. Oh wait.
There you go. Right. And yes, and you've said that you were self-harming for a really long time.
8 years. It was unsuicidal self-harm. But my first real self-harm attempt was that time.
Yeah. And Patty works with trauma, so I know this is nothing that's unfamiliar to her. And I saw Marie ask, like, what keeps you busy now other than your art? Because I know there's, this is one part of who you are and how you live your life every day. And
Well, I am actually still living in programs. After my time living at home, it was short. It was short lived. There were many issues with that, and it was mostly me. I decided to leave home and go into other programs, which led to me living in Turning Point currently. But like my father said, I'm actively trying to move back in home because I'm still a little kid at heart. And I'm trying to catch up in time that I don't really have anymore. So
that's true. You have plenty of time. We all have lots of time. I'm bringing this one back up. Raquel, I think I meant
the question. I'm sorry, I
no,
didn't even answer the question.
No, it's not. It's not a question. It's a comment that you said something just earlier that was really powerful, and this I immediately thought of Raquel. You were talking about your suicide, how you were happy that day, nobody would have known, and Raquel is a survivor of a suicide attempt when we were in college, and I can tell you, as her roommate, I had no idea it was coming. And so I'm so grateful to you and Raquel and all of the people out there who talk about, we think we know when someone's ready to take their own life. And sure, there are some people that follow that pattern and we might feel like we see something coming. But Raquel, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, shared with me that she was like euphoric. She was excited. Like she was going to be free of her pain, right? There was not that,
I've been asked a lot what I got out of cutting myself. And, I never could really give why I did it. I felt like it came from a lot of the anger that I had, that even though I was extremely rageous and very aggressive, I didn't want to hurt people. And when I would get to the point where I'd want to punch someone in the face, I'd punch a wall or I would take it out on myself. And it wasn't just the anger that I was taking out on myself. It was my pain. It was the shit that people couldn't see, because no matter how many people say that, oh, I understand your life's been hard, if you don't walk in my shoes, you will never fully understand.
And that is one of the things that I think allowed our conversation. I love you too, Raquel. Because when someone can say to you and have the hard conversation about the details, and that they really get it. Mark probably understands this completely too. It's a whole different conversation that you can have. I mean, you and I talked about a lot of things, and I've said this before. There are some harsh, uncomfortable realities that come with some of these conversations. And I've said before live, my body did exactly what it was built to do. Sexual touch equaled pleasure.
Yep.
So for people to hear that my abuse was pleasurable on some level is really uncomfortable, but not when I say it to someone who's been there.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, most of us carry forward that self-hate that our bodies did what it did. And
the shame.
Time. Yeah, the shame, which is insidious. And it takes us time, to...
Yes, I have, Jenny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The picture you saw at the beginning was from them.
Hang on with the girl?
Yeah. Looked like she fell into something.
Yeah. I'm going to add her. Yeah. Yeah. When I saw that one, I don't know exactly what was behind it, but what spoke to me is like this, just intense pain, but almost a release of sorts. Your artwork is amazing. And again, you guys, connect with Gabby and you will see much more of her art. Oops, somebody else did that. Hey! And I saw that Mark said he does understand, unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, and I will say for me also fortunately, because I always knew my experience was bigger than me. And if I can help others by having that difficult conversation with them in a way that is meaningful for them, in a way that they would never have allowed themselves to otherwise have, then my experience is worth it. Yes, thousands of words. The triggers comment really got me. Physical pleasure is often right. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's what my body was built to do. It did exactly. And many of us who have been there, our bodies do exactly what they're meant to do. And then we judge ourselves for it. Gabby, we are actually just about at an hour. And I promised you I would not make you go on forever and ever.
I feel like there's so much that I could be saying, but
we're going to come back now that you've done it once. Now that you've done it once, I can tell you from experience, it's easier. Now that you have a tribe behind you that's going to show up when you share, it makes it that much easier. You have done an amazing job tonight. And I'm going to say that, and I hope it doesn't sound condescending at all. I know how scared you are, and I know how hard it is to be where you are. Yes, she is on LinkedIn. It's going to go across the bottom. There you are, Mark. I would love for, there's a place for the three of us to be having a live conversation somewhere that would change lives. I believe that. And that's something that I will come talk to both of you about. But I thank you again, Gabby, for the honor and privilege of.
no, the honor is all mine and Nancy, for real.
No. Let's both say we feel like we are blessed to have found one another and been able to help each other in the ways we have. And
I'm blessed that my father told me who you are, honestly.
He was looking out for both of us. And so, yes, let's talk, Mark. Please, especially this month. It is.
No, but seriously, Nancy. I mean, not a lot of people do this. And I see why you're one of the most 50 influential people, because this shit right here, it's not a lot of people do it, and it's very much needed.
Thank you.
So you're incredible, and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Gabby. Yes, thank you for sharing you with us. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for your bravery, and thank you for not giving up, Gabby. Had you given up, we wouldn't have had this opportunity today to.
Here comes the waterworks.
That means you're taking it in. But I am so grateful that you not give up. You have a purpose in this life, and you are already fulfilling it in amazing ways. The fact that you changed how the DCFS system is dealing with people who are removed from the home. You are destined. I told
Fuck
you
me.
I told you this when we first talked. The first time Gabby and I talked, I said, you are a lighthouse. That's how I saw her in my mind. She's a lighthouse. She's a beacon. She's that place where people can find in the storm. And she's in the process of discovering that for herself. And by sharing with us tonight, Gabby, you've set that light out for others to find. And I know it's not easy, but I promise you it's worth it. I promise you.
Woo! I got all the way to the end.
You did great. You did great. All right, everyone. We're going to say goodnight. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Normally, I have not been doing a weekly show, but it seems like in the month of April, there are enough of us out there who want to use our voices to change those statistics, change the narrative, and make sure that when we're here next year for Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month, things look different. Yes, she's already changing the world. How amazing. 22 years old. Gabby, you are a warrior. I love you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you. Good night, everyone.